Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about the stages or phases of a medical coding student. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. Okay guys, I will start off by saying this. I have been a medical coding student since 2007. I have successfully sat for and passed 3 certification exams with the American Health Information Management Association. So I can tell you in all honesty, I've been there, done that, got a t-shirt. However you're feeling in your journey as a medical coding student, trust me, I've probably felt the same thing too. So here's the deal. I'm going to talk about these different phases so that way you can kind of know what to expect. And then you won't feel like you're the only one who's going through this. Going back to school as adults is very difficult. Not only that, it's the fact that you're maybe starting off in a brand new career. And it's a lot for a person to take on. It can be quite stressful, but just know that this is just a tiny part of your journey. And the more that you surrender to this journey, the more that you commit to your goals of starting in a new career or starting in a different field completely, right? The better off you'll be. So if you've been through any of these that I've been talking about, feel free to comment below, leave your suggestions on how you got through it, because everybody has different coping mechanisms. So the great thing about this community of YouTube is that we can share these things, right? And so again, if you want to share how you got through these stages, leave a comment below. So let us begin. All right. Maybe this is your first time back in school and you are very excited. So you're getting out all your markers and your pens and you're getting all these note cards and maybe some notebooks to take notes in, and you're very excited. But it's more than just getting those things, right? It's actually investing in other things like anatomy posters to kind of help you along with medical terminology and anatomy and that kind of thing, because that is a huge part for us as medical coders to know. So you may want to invest in some of those. I do have some links in the description box below. These are affiliate links. You certainly don't have to click on any of these. You can check out wherever you get your books. So that way you can find different things that might help you. Flashcards are a really great addition as well when you are in the beginning trying to learn all this stuff. So you may go from this excited and very happy, elated feeling to all of a sudden, now you're in the program and you're like, oh gosh, what did I just get myself into? I am never going to learn this. This is so much. This is for people who have medical background. Incorrect. This is for anybody who has a desire to learn. There's plenty of people who start in this field who have had no prior medical experience, me being one of them. I had no idea about anything in medical at all. I wanted to be so far away from medical as a career, like long-term career, that I just never really paid attention to it. However, I am a reader, so that does help. You have to be a reader in this field. That's not something that you'll ever get away from. When it comes to medical coding, we have to read all day long, and we have to read very complicated and complex doctor's notes. And don't let that scare you, just let it prepare you, because that's exactly what this is. You know, this is a preparation of what you may go through, what you may experience. So if you're starting to get overwhelmed, I notice that when people are writing me and they're getting overwhelmed, it's because they're trying to do too many things at once. You're typically not trying to concentrate on one subject. Sometimes people think that they can get a jump on several things at once, and so they load their plate and then they get like this overwhelming feeling like maybe I am not where I'm supposed to be. This is where I tell you guys to slow down. You got to give yourself time to learn this. You know, doctors get several years to be doctors, and I always say on my channel, we have to know when doctors know while never having gone to medical school. So it's okay to give yourself time. I always recommend studying for at least 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months. That's your program time included. Sometimes people will be going through these fast-paced medical coding programs, which I never recommend because it's just too much to learn in such a short amount of time to be really prepared for the real world. Because while you may be able to pass a certification exam, it doesn't necessarily equate to success in the real world, being that you can be out there and immediately know what to do, because book coding and real world coding is two different things. So just make sure that if you're starting to feel overwhelmed, that you are just taking it one section at a time, one subject at a time, and really concentrating on it. And also making sure that you are setting yourself up on a schedule and a time to study. I always tell brand new medical coding students, if you are investing at least 20 hours per week, this is great, because that's where you need to be. And even if you are working a full-time job, it doesn't matter. You could be working 40 hours and you can still squirrel away 20 hours a week. And if you're feeling overwhelmed because you've got all these things to do, if you know that you have this set time for your studies, either it's an hour before you go to work or maybe a couple hours during the week, after you get off of work and after you've put the kids to bed and all this good stuff, maybe then you can start to kind of see how you can get this time in and to be able to study. So it's about finding those little squirrel times where we have time that we are not really doing anything, but we can be listening to YouTube channels about medical terminology and anatomy and things like that. Or, you could be looking at other things about HIPAA, and that may help you to start learning. So those are plenty of different ways to kind of mitigate some of that overwhelming feelings of, what did I get myself into? You have to try to concentrate on one subject at a time, okay? So if you are on medical terminology, then you need to focus on medical terminology. If you are on anatomy, you need to focus on anatomy. Don't be trying to sit there and trying to order your books and trying to learn how to code before you learn all of your medical terminology and your anatomy. I've seen people do that, and it's a mistake because yes, there's certain diagnosis codes in here, but how do you know that you're appropriately looking them up? There are going to be times when there are combination codes for certain diagnoses and other procedures that go on. Do you code this with this? And so you have to take the time to learn your medical terminology and your anatomy and your pathophysiology first before you start getting into that medical coding book. That will come with time, okay? So don't let those overwhelming feelings stop you and take you out of the race even before you began, right? So taking that 20 hours a week and spreading it out during those 7 days, and even if you want to take a day off with no study at all on a certain day, or maybe a couple of days, it's okay. You can still filter those 20 hours into 5 days. That's 4 hours a day, and you can really find the time in there if you want to. And, people do it all the time, and so that's just my advice if you're getting overwhelmed. But mainly it is to take one subject at a time. Take one subject at a time. Take your breaks as needed. I really recommend studying no more than 1 hour at a time. The more time that you study in one sitting, the more you can forget. So what I say is study for 1 hour, take a 5-minute, 10-minute break, and then come right back to it. Because this way your brain can have time to absorb and you won't feel so tired. It's just a matter of adjusting your own schedule and being able to really tackle this one step at a time. And when you do start to tackle these subjects, then be proud of yourself and tell yourself that you're doing good. Because a lot of times we kind of depend on other people to tell us that we're doing good, when we really do need to be telling ourselves that we're doing good. And that you have to be ready to do as well, because there's going to be times when no one will tell you, yes, you're doing good. No one's going to give you a pat on the back. It's going to be all on you. So you really do need to get used to that now. And if your teacher is not helping you, maybe you've been asking questions and your teacher is just not giving you the support and assistance that they promised when you got into the program. That's okay, guys. There's things like medical coding tutors out there. And I'm a tutor. My rate is in the description box below. There's a ton of tutors on LinkedIn if you are interested in any of those. You have a choice, okay? So you may have to spend a couple of bucks, but it's all right. It's just so that you can get a better understanding. It's not something that you have to do long term, certainly not. But if you do have a list of questions, maybe you could take them to the tutor, and the tutor could help you to better understand. And so it's just something to kind of help you along. But nobody is going to know that you need assistance unless you speak up, okay? And speak up to your teacher first. If the teacher's not helping you, or they take too long to answer, then try to find a tutor. The best way to combat also feeling overwhelmed is to stay out of Facebook medical coding groups. Now, people foo-foo me, and they don't listen to me when I say this. Here's the thing, guys, okay? Facebook is it is like the epicenter of bad, negative talk. One person goes through something bad, or they're having a bad experience at their school, and they're going to share it. And all of a sudden they start to scare other people. I've seen them do this because I'm the one who gets those emails from people who say that they were scared off from the field of medical coding because what they heard in a Facebook medical coding group, which turns out not to be even true. So that's why I tell you guys, you have to really focus and zero in on the studies. You don't need to have this whole network of people from Facebook medical coding groups that are really no good. There's like 99.999% of them that are no good. I'm sure there's a few that are going to be really great and supportive, but for the most part, those Facebook medical coding groups are not good. Okay, so just make sure that you are sticking with the books, studying as much with them as you can, so that way you can keep those overwhelming feelings low. Be kind to yourself. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself, that you're eating well, and that you are taking the time to get some air, exercise, get some fresh air sometimes, because that also does help to kind of mitigate that stress. Our bodies will react to stress in different ways. And so I'm not saying to go out and do a whole fitness thing, but I'm just saying that sometimes just a little bit of fresh air does a world of good, especially when you are really trying to study. It does help, okay? So just make sure that you are taking care of yourself. You're drinking plenty of water. Cokes and and coffees and things like that, while they are great, coffee is really great. Sometimes you do have to slow down because it can give you the jitters, and which can make those overwhelming feelings even worse. Okay, so just make sure that you're drinking plenty of water, and at least that's just my advice anyway. So and then the last feeling that you may have is that nervousness, right? That nervousness before you go to take your exam, right? How do you work with that? This is the culmination of all of your studies, all of your study time. You're going to get into that groove where once you get out of those overwhelming feelings, you're going to hit your stride, right? And you're going to start really understanding what's happening. And then you're going to get right before your test. And then you may get that like nervous feeling. So even with those nervous feelings, guys, remember, you're walking in there with knowledge. You're not walking in there with no knowledge. And you've been studying for however many months, hopefully 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months. And you're just ready to show what you know. So make sure that you keep that in mind. There's no sense in getting yourself so worked up for something that you know that you're going to be ready for. Okay, and just make sure that you keep that in the back of your mind. And when you are speaking these things, you're going to speak them into existence, because there's so many people that are going to focus on everything that could potentially go wrong. And, oh, I need to write in my book, and oh, I need to tab, and I need to do all of these things. You don't have to do that, guys. You got to be able to get through the book as quickly as you can. And as efficiently as you can, because these are timed exams. And as long as you have been testing yourself on your time, that's going to really help you as well. That's going to kind of like lower those nerves and things like that. When I went in I took 2 certification exams last year. I took the CCSP and the CCS. I wasn't as nervous with the CCSP as I was with the CCS, because CCS is a monster. I will say that, but when I took that exam, I knew that I had studied enough, and I knew I had studied as much as I was going to study. Okay, and that's the other thing too. You can't be cramming at the last minute. All right, so if you are cramming up till the day that you take your test, you're setting yourself up to fail, guys. You need to give yourself a couple of days at least. I recommend a week. People foo-foo me. So if you want to at least do 2 days, at least that's something. That's a break in between, because you're not going to learn anything new up until the last minute, okay? And then it's just going to make you more nervous for your test. So that's the thing that I want you guys to understand. When you're going in there, you're going in there with confidence. You're going in there with the ability to be able to get through this test. And again, if you've been preparing yourself, then you will be ready, okay? That you will know this. You will know what you need to know to be able to pass these certification exams. And it's not like they don't tell you what's on the test. Both associations, the American Health Information Management Association and the American Academy of Professional Coders, will both have the outlines of their exams. All the domains, everything that's being tested on for that particular certification exam, it's all there in black and white. So just make sure that you are looking at the website and checking to see what you need to study on. If you're not familiar with a certain topic, then make sure you just go over it. You can Google that topic in particular if you're not really that familiar, or if you feel like your school didn't prepare you enough. I always talk about the books that I recommend. The links are in the description box below, so that way you guys can check them out. Yes, I do recommend the CPC study guide, even if you are studying for the CCS, the CCA, or the CCSP. And those 3 are the credentials offered with the American Health Information Management Association, because everybody tests on the same book, the CPT manual, which is what the CPC exam study guide, or the CPC study guide, covers, okay? So yes, while it sounds a little backwards, I do recommend that book if you are sitting for any one of those exams, just to kind of help you study the CPT part of those tests. I'm just saying. So whatever stage you are at as a medical coding student, just know that it is temporary. It is not going to be forever, and it is the start of a new and wonderful career if you allow it to be. Don't let your fears get in your way. Don't let anybody's negative talk get in your way. All right, this is all on you. And at the end of the day, it's going to be you that goes into that test center or take that test. And it's going to be you, and those are going to be your results. And, however much you've invested into it and however much you are ready for this, it will be, At least that's my advice anyway. So best wishes to you all out there. Again, if you have any tips for other medical coding students, be sure to leave them in the comments below. So I will go ahead and wrap this one up. If you haven't had a chance to, I hope you will like and subscribe, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.